Now, if you saw the last video, you already know black liberals got furious when they got a taste of their own segregation logic. Flip back on them. But what if I told you it goes even deeper? What if I told you the very black-only town they praised on CNN was never about freedom? It was about Democrat illusion. And the lie just got exposed. Let's go there.
You hear that? That is the sound of freedom.
Feels really amazing. I cry every time I come here.
Why were these two women interested in the prospect of buying a town in the first place?
We needed to create a space and a place where we could be a village again, a tribe again.
So Renee and Ashley reached out to family and friends, and together they bought what they intend to name Freedom, Georgia, a new black city. The owners hosted the Big Black Campout over Labor Day weekend. Supporters drove in from across the country.
That is our vision, and to be able to pass this land down to my children and to the children that are represented by each of our 19 families as a piece of legacy. We're hoping to create legacy.
You hear that?
Well, they said it was a safe haven, a place where black families could build legacy. CNN framed it like a modern Wakanda. But here's what they didn't tell you. That land sold off. No houses, no schools. And I would like to not say no future, but I would definitely like for them to, foresee that. But because Democrats specialize in performance, they market hope, but never fund it. It's a big difference here. Hopefully you understand the point I just made there. And while they hype black utopias that, I pray don't collapse, not for the sake of segregation, but I don't want to see nobody, no human. I don't, none of that, but just for that, on that premise. Some folks are now so disillusioned, they're begging to go backward.
Can we go ahead and bring back segregation? Because I'm tired of my child, you feel me, going to school and being buddy-buddy with these white kids and me not being able to interfere with that. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Because, when they get 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, they not going to be friends no more. Period. I ain't not a now one of the white friends I had when I was a child that stuck around. You hear me? No, sir. No, ma'am. Bring back segregation. Can we?
Imagine how far we've fallen that a black parent wants segregation back. And not because of racism from others, but because of what integration turned into under Democrat-run school systems. And you know what that screams? Betrayal. Not by white people, but by the very politicians they keep voting for. And the moment someone start questioning did I say that right? Questioning that loyalty, anyhow. Questioning. There you go. That loyalty. The mob goes wild. Just watch this.
As a white person, I'm going to say this, and no, I do not identify as white. This is for video purposes only, for me speaking to my white side, because I think biracial people, especially white biracial people, need to call out the white community more. And I think honestly everybody needs to call out the white community more. They make up over 60% of the population, and they do not need fucking coddled. I think everybody is walking around trying to tiptoe around white people and their fucking feelings, so everybody doesn't feel like they're fucking racist, and the whole time all these white people are racist. Okay? Even if
I would like to think it's quite the opposite.
you think you're not racist, low-key you probably do have internalized racism that you need to deconstruct from. Literally almost all Americans do, but it's completely ingrained into white culture. And I'm saying this as a half-white person. We need to call out white people more. I do not give a fuck. We need to call out racism more. We need to call out white people more, and we need to call out men more, quite frankly. Something has to obviously change. So I think probably we should start there.
This is what we see modern times have created. People who think rage equals righteousness. No facts, just fury. And if you're half white, you still better hate that side of you, right? Democrats don't want equality. They want emotional chaos they can campaign on. But when emotions don't work, they switch to tactics. They use the church.
Come on, public enemy. I came to tell white supremacists. I came to tell MAGA. I came to tell white privilege. We coming, we coming, we coming. We coming, we coming. God said, when you give me glory, I'm going to run them out of the State Department. If you give me glory, I'm going to run them out of Congress and run them out of Senate. If you give me glory, I'm going to run them off of your job and run them off of your classroom. I need you to take your neighbor's hand and say, neighbor, we got to shout like we got faith. Come on,
neighbor. Whoa. Stay away from this. This is Jamal Bryant's anti-Republican sermon, or rant, rather. And he claims God will remove whites and Republicans from the government if you give him praise during his unhinged anti-MAGA rant. Now, this is wild. I mean, he literally says God's going to remove Republicans if you shout loud enough. That's not theology. That's propaganda, blatantly. But you see the play, right? Keep black folks hyped up on politics and not purpose. Because if we start thinking for ourselves, the whole game breaks. And when thinking starts happening, the truth starts leaking out. Especially when folks start doing the math.
Every time we say reparations, somebody panics like we just asked for their entire inheritance. But here's the truth. This country has already paid reparations, just not to us. And not just once, multiple times. So let's stop acting brand new. Reparations are not about guilt. They are about debt. America's been in the red with black folks for over 400 years. And it's not just slavery either. It's everything after. Stolen wages, stolen land, the GI Bill we were locked out of, the homes we weren't allowed to buy, the neighborhoods we were pushed out of. My grandparents in Virginia had a big house. They built something themselves. They held it down. But do you know what's there now? A highway. Because the government decided that their land was disposable, but convenient for development. And we're just one black family amongst many more. Reparations is not some favor. It's the bare minimum for a country who made black struggle policy. Economist Dr. William Darity crunched the numbers. To close the black to white wealth gap today, 14 to 17 trillion. That's just to bring us even, not ahead, just even. So let's compare. Iraq and Afghanistan wars, 6 trillion. 2008 bank bailout, 700 billion. COVID era PPP loans, over $800 billion. And most people haven't even paid that back. Congress. So don't tell me we can't afford it. This country finds money for war, for Wall Street, and corporate tax cuts on command. It just doesn't want to write us into the budget. And it's not just checks. Though, let's be real, for many families, that's exactly what it should be. It could look like cash payments like the Japanese Americans received, interest-free home loans for the black folks that were locked out of generational wealth, student debt cancellation or free college at public HBCUs, land returns for families displaced by urban renewal, tax credits or guaranteed income based on ancestry. And miss me with the how do we prove who qualifies? This country tracks ancestry just fine when it wants to. Native enrollment, Holocaust reparations, the 9/11 Victims Fund. The issue isn't logistics, it's politics. Because if we got what we were actually owed, we'd stop scraping to survive. We'd have what they always feared: wealth, stability, ownership, power. We wouldn't need to ask for a seat at the table. We'd be flipping tables and buying the building. Reparations would not destroy America. They'd reveal it. They'd show who got rich off of stolen land, who passed down trust funds built on unpaid labor, who inherited freedom while we inherited cleanup. So yeah, reparations would change everything. And maybe it's time something finally did.
Reparations? Nah. Not only is that a fantasy, it's a setup. You telling me black folks are owed 17 trillion and every white person needs to leave the country? That's not justice. That's delusion soaked in racism. That's what that is. And Democrat policies help create it. Let's be real. Most people screaming about reparations can't tell you what the GI Bill even was. They never read one housing policy, never studied what urban renewal actually did. They just heard a talking point and ran with it. You know who benefits from this fantasy? Not black families. Not a single mom in the hood. Not your grandma trying to pay rent. The people who benefit are the Democrat elites and the so-called activists who collect checks from your outrage while you get nothing. They've made struggle a brand, and now they want us to co-sign a new kind of segregation and an economy built on guilt. You don't fix history by punishing people who had nothing to do with it. We don't need handouts. We need truth, family, self-respect. And the moment we stop asking, they'll panic because they can't control people who don't beg. And that's exactly what's starting to happen. Some of us are finally starting to take that Democrat filter off. And we're seeing things for what they really are, not for what they told us to believe.
At what point does your uncomfortable feelings around being called...
There are 3 doors in my bedroom. All 3 of these doors are white. These glasses help me see the world exactly as it is, so when I look through these glasses, the doors are white. If I were to get my glasses tinted blue, the doors would appear blue. The color of the door has not changed, just my perception of the door. Because of the blue tinted glasses, I'm going to see blue where it does not exist. If racism is the lens through which you see the world, you're going to see racism where it does not exist. I have 2 pairs of glasses. I got these in 2012 and I did not upgrade until 2020. I was walking around in an outdated prescription thinking I was seeing the world just fine. I didn't realize how distorted everything was until I upgraded and got a clearer prescription. Some of y'all look like this, blue tinted glasses and an outdated prescription. Not only is your vision distorted, but you're adding in details that do not exist. Time to shift your perspective. As a black woman, this long-term suffering, I have no idea what you're talking about. The problem isn't white people, it's your perception of white people.
At what point does your uncomfortable feelings around...
Oh my gosh. Now that's a word. When you wear blue tinted glasses, everything looks blue, even if it's white. Same with race. If Democrats keep handing us the lens of oppression, we'll see racism even when it's not there. That's the point. Keep us paranoid, so we never question who's handing out the glasses. By the way, I ain't updated my prescription in a minute. I need to go ahead and make that appointment. But watch what happens when the roles flip and white folks start building their own version of Freedom, Georgia.
I need y'all to understand that those people do not intend to leave us alone in their little town in Arkansas. It's recently been in the news that some chalk children in America have decided to create their own whites-only town. And when asked by a reporter, they made it seem as though that they intend to just have a town of their own and resources of their own and just live off the land, returning to the land. A land that they stole through crimes against humanity, but who's counting? Many brothers and sisters' take on this is, hey, we don't care if y'all have your own, just leave us alone in the process. I mean, every time we've tried to do that, y'all have burned our towns down. And I'm just here to tell y'all that unfortunately, they do not intend to leave us alone. In the interview with the colonizer that wants to found this whites-only town in Arkansas, they're making it seem as though they just want to live in peace. We must remember that these are people that have never known peace. They didn't know peace when they was by themselves in the ice-cold mountains of Europe, and they're not going to know peace in the middle of Arkansas. In the 70s, there was a black scholar that broke down white supremacy into an equation. The same way that E equals MC squared, white supremacy equals white power over non-white powerlessness. And so that means that white supremacy cannot live in an environment where non-white people have any form of power. Because if there's no non-white people around, who are they superior to? Nothing they have achieved has been achieved by leaving people alone. It's like if your son or daughter said they didn't want to live in the house anymore and locked themselves in their room. In order to eat, brush their teeth, or do anything, that child would have to come outside the room. And it's the same thing for them. At some point, they are going to need resources and labor, and that's when they turn to us. And if we have our own power and our own resources, then we have no reason to share with them. And that is when they destroy what we have so that we have to work with them. Don't be fooled. Just like the movie Sinners, it all starts out nice and pleasant, but they have ulterior motives.
Oh, now it's a problem, right? White folks build a town and suddenly it's national rage. But when black folks do it, it's empowerment. Be real. The double standard is just quite disgusting here. So obvious. Either segregation is wrong or it's not. You can't cherry pick it based on skin color. Unless you never cared about unity in the first place. And while the media plays moral referee here, real chaos is happening in Democrat cities.
Another topic I want to cover real quick. Social media and journalism and the role it plays in this incident. And yes, guys, that's you. That is you. Social media, the post that we've seen, does not depict the entire incident. That is one version of what occurred. At times, social media and mainstream media and their commentaries are a misrepresentation of the circumstances surrounding any given event. What that does, that causes us some difficulties in thoroughly investigating the activity and enforcing the law. Because what happens, that social media post and your coverage of it distorts the content of what actually happened. And it makes our job more difficult. Go ahead, right here.
Thank you. 2 questions. Where were the nearest officers?
In the central business section. They were working. They were both in vehicles, and like I said, they had to maneuver through the traffic.
My second question is, you had said social media, news media distorted the content of what actually happened. What exactly was distorted? I understand that there was multiple views of the video, but exactly what led up to this? I mean, what was distorted?
Yeah, so I think by the irresponsibility with social media is it just shows one side of the equation quite frequently without context, without factual context. And then people run with that. And then it grows legs and it becomes something bigger that we then have to try to manage as part of the investigation.
So, excuse me. This is a result of, black mobs attacking white people at random. This was Cincinnati police chief deflecting the blame. A literal mob attacks white tourists, and the police chief blames social media. That's Democrat leadership. Blame the coverage, not the crime. Make the law-abiding feel guilty while the violent feel invincible. But one voice said what every American's been thinking. Check this out.
What country?
Where's the audio? Hold
Joining
on.
me now is Ken Cobra, president of Cincinnati's Fraternal Order of Police. And I appreciate you being here with us. And it's not to insult your city, but this is intolerable. It doesn't belong on any American street. It honestly doesn't belong in any civilized society. And I saw a quote by you, Ken, where you said, what you see in this video and the behavior around there is people that fear no repercussions. Tell me why they would fear no repercussions.
Well, Cincinnati and Hamilton counties are really at a crossroads. What kind of city and county do we want to be? Because right now you have about half the judges that support law and order, and then you have half of them that just don't, that are being the cashless bail, the soft on crime. And this is a result of that. I mean, these people fear no consequences. And until that changes, unfortunately, we're going to see more things like this.
There's so many different, honestly, beyond the law and order element of this, Ken, and there is a law and order element of this. I know that 911, they may have received one call during this when you can see there's dozens, if not hundreds of people around the incident. But there's also so many cultural implications going on here. I don't know. I don't know how you were raised. I can tell you this. Any situation, A, where a man hits a woman, or B, where 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 guys are ganging up on one, nobody involved in that is tough. Nobody involved in that is a man. And it says something rotten about any culture that produces individuals who think somehow this is tough.
Yeah, these people clearly have no morals. They have no morals. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about others. And this is certainly a problem that we're seeing time and time again. And it's something that is just disgusting. We saw the worst that Cincinnati has to offer that morning.
And look, it's our job to tell the truth, and the truth requires you to state the obvious. There is a racial component to what we're watching on our screen right now. The 2 victims on the screen appear to be white. Most of the assailants appear to be black. And if we played the game of reversing this, and we have in some instances, there would be a national outcry and rage about the races involved in this incident. But here we have it reversed, and it asks some serious questions about us as a society.
Sure. Yeah, these investigators are certainly looking into that as being a component of why this occurred. And that's yet to be determined, I believe. But I mean, you look at it at face value and certainly could understand why you would draw that conclusion.
Well, at this point, I don't know what conclusions are to be drawn, but to ask some very serious questions and to be irresponsible not to ask those questions out of fear of invoking race, when this is what we're watching happening on the streets of Cincinnati, and I don't care where you live, I was just talking to somebody that works here, Ken. I don't know that this would happen on the streets of Texas. It might not, but there would be someone step in. There's a lot of people armed in the state of Texas or many other states across this country that don't have to wait for the police. I don't know what's going on in Ohio.
No, you're right. And if there would have been some better people that were part of that, it probably would have ended differently. But it just shows you that whole mob mentality. That's exactly what we saw. And I wish there would have been one person in the crowd that decided that they were going to step in and actually, be an adult, be a man, and not allow something like this to happen.
You said it right. It's a mob mentality. It takes courage and bravery to step up against a mob. It takes 0 to be part of a mob. And unfortunately, we're run short on that courage and bravery right now.
Boom. They fear no consequences. Because the system's been hijacked by Soros-backed DAs who won't prosecute anything that fits the woke narrative. And who protects those DAs? Democrats. Every single time. If chaos equals votes, then of course they'll let the fire burn. So let's recap. A black town that Democrats hype. A black parent begs for segregation, and the media still spins it like we're the problem. Nah. Black folks are waking up, man. Not to division, but to the deception. The dream they sold us was never built to stand. And the proof? He's in the dirt web, Freedom, Georgia. Is that right? Same thing. I need your help on this one. If you watched this video this far, make sure you follow me on these accounts up here. That's why I drop, these same drops in truth that not necessarily allow here. And shout out to Doug in Exile. He inspired the 4 Times Club. So if you've liked, commented, and shared and watched this video, drop for X Club in the comments so I can shout you out next time. And yeah, man, let me go ahead and get them shout outs together right now. You already know I got to come through and do what I do. I like to do it on the fly. Let's see. Scotty Law, 1981. Shout out to you. Melvin Ward, 2183. Josh Mandrell, 4952. Lulu, 4228. And Charlie Danelli, Danelli, 1253. And then World Peace -3. Shout out to all of y'all for help keeping this channel afloat, man. Be safe. Go check on somebody today. You could quite literally be saving their life. Peace.